He is the head coach of San Diego State men's basketball, and they're taking on Florida Atlantic in the Final Four. Words I never thought I would say into a microphone. We had Dusty May of Florida Atlantic on yesterday to be fair and balanced. Joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show is the head coach, Brian Dutcher. How you doing, Coach?
Rich, I'm on top of the world. Great to be with you.
You know what? And here, part of this is, it's shocker. There's a show with my name on it, and this is a moment for me. I'm thrilled for you and to have you on, and that I can use this as an opportunity to tell you how happy you have made me for many, many years. I'm University of Michigan class of 1990, and I will never forget 1989, as I'm sure you don't either, being an assistant on that Steve Fisher coached team that cut down the Nets in Seattle with Glenn Rice and everyone else. And I just wanted to say thank you to start off our interview as being part of that.
I appreciate that, Rich. I've had an incredible journey in coaching, whether it was helping Coach Fisher interim title win 6 straight games in the title, or the Fab Five, the first 5 freshmen to take a team to the championship game. A lot of fun experiences over my career.
So I'm just wondering, because it definitely struck me, knowing your background and knowing you and knowing, again, the story of 1989 with Darian Trammell at the line, with a foul being called late, and a lot of people are wondering if that really should be free throws here or not. Did the Ramil Robinson, analogy at all strike you at any point in time?
I brought it up in the press conference.
Huh.
I said, this is not the first game decided by free throws. 1989, Ramil Robinson got fouled, and he made 2 free throws to win a national championship. So it happens in March, and we're grateful it happened to us, and that Darian was able to make at least one of the 2 and advances to the Final Four.
And by the way, I was a Michigan Daily reporter at the time, Coach, and I drew the short straw to close the newspaper that night because everyone else wanted to party and watch Seton Hall versus Michigan, and I was running like a salmon against the stream, running across campus. It was bedlam. It was truly one of the greatest moments of my life. And I'm wondering
what basketball's, obviously changed over those years. We had 4 juniors, a couple of seniors on the floor. Those players now are a year and into the NBA, and to have Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson, Terry Mills, Lloyd Vaught.
That's right.
All NBA players. Eric Riley off the bench is an incredible run.
And where is Coach Fisher today? What's your conversations with him been like as you've gone on this magical run? I
saw him yesterday. Mark Fisher is still on staff. Obviously, a decade fight with ALS, and so Mark is still part of the program. Coach brings him in, and so I see Coach quite a few times a week, and it's great. He's a great mentor.
So what conversations do you have with him basketball wise? Does he give you a couple of cents? Do you pick his brain? I mean, can you give me any insight into some of these conversations that you're willing to share?
He's just the greatest guy in the world because he just is supportive. You're doing all the right things. You're doing a great job, magnificent job handling your team. It's not like, well, I think, Brian, you should X and O, Y's, do this or do that. I can get that occasionally from my dad, who is a former coach, Jim Dutcher at the University of Minnesota. And so all you got to do is pick up the phone. There's always help. You know that in this business.
Don't forget Eastern Michigan. Don't forget Ypsilanti, Michigan, Coach. Don't forget that.
Michigan, George Gervin. He had the Iceman there at Eastern Michigan.
Did he really? I didn't know
he had
that.
George Gervin at Eastern Michigan. So
man.
And then my dad had obviously Kevin McHale, Michael Thompson,
Minnesota,
Flip Saunders, Ray Williams at the University of Minnesota. So I've grown up very fortunate being a coach's son to kind of see a lot of great players over my life.
So I guess what's your first basketball memory, Brian Dutcher? What's that for you?
Probably riding on guys' shoulders at Bowen Fieldhouse at Eastern Michigan as a little adolescent, getting a shoulder right on top of the shoulders of the players, running around Bowen Fieldhouse, jumping on the porta pits. The track surrounded the court. So, grow up around the game and just very fortunate to have been a part of it. Now I'm 63 years old.
Yeah, and in the Final Four with San Diego State taking on Florida Atlantic this coming weekend. And what have you already seen out of Florida Atlantic? What do you got for me already going into this Tuesday before the big Final Four contest on Saturday, Coach?
Winningest team in the country, deep like we are. Most teams shorten the bench this time of the year, but Florida Atlantic and the San Diego State Aztecs are deep, both 9 deep, and unafraid to play all those players. And so we have to know everybody on that roster. We can't all of a sudden let a guy come off the bench and go for 15, 16 points because we don't know who he is. So we are doing a deep dive into their personnel and trying to do our best job preparing.
And so what do it's interesting. I was speaking to Coach May yesterday, and he said some of his players are being recruited by other people, figuring that this is just, a one-off here with Florida Atlantic. Are you experiencing anything similar? Obviously, San Diego State way more established, and thanks to Coach Fisher, and then obviously what you've been able to do there and some of the players that have come through. I'm just wondering if you've experienced anything similar in this crazy NIL mixed-up transfer portal world, Coach.
We probably have the lowest transfer rate of anybody in the country. We don't lose a lot of players to the portal, and yet we go to the portal. Even before it was the portal, we've always had great success with transfers in our program over the years.
So then what do you attribute that you don't have guys transferring out of your program for the Aztecs, Coach?
Culture's overused, but just honesty. Tell them what it's going to be before they come here, and when they get here, be real in their expectations, and just be a good person and be honest. And most kids leave because they feel like you haven't been honest with them.
Brian Dutcher, San Diego State Aztecs here on the Rich Eisen Show. And I know you were also open talking about, potentially moving and how there's a lot of movement in the world between conferences. Do you think there's a Pac-12 opening for your school that your school may take? I know that you've got other fish to fry right now, but I figured if I have the moment here, I'd ask you, Coach.
Like most coaches, I don't really have a say in it, but I just know this is a great university with great athletic programs and in a great Southern Cal location. And so I think we would be desirable for a lot of conferences. So whether that happens or not is at a level beyond me, but I think we would be a program that most schools would be interested, or conferences if they were looking to expand.
Sure. Okay. Brian Dutcher here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's drop some names. Who have you heard from? Who have you heard from on this run here? Have you heard from Kawhi? Has he reached out? You got him?
I've not heard from Kawhi. I have heard from all 5 starting members of the Fab Five.
Yes, you have.
So Juwan, Chris, Jalen, Jimmy, and Ray.
How about that?
That's probably the most that people would know. I hear from a lot of old high school friends.
Okay, that's good. But
I don't have a big Rolodex.
The Fab Five has reached out to you to congratulate you all these years later.
Yeah. Well, if you're a coach and you do a good job, they're basically family members at that point. So I've heard from family, a lot of former players, both from San Diego State and Michigan over my years. What's
your favorite memory of the Fab Five era, Coach Dutcher? What do you got for me on that? Obviously, there's so many of them, but which one sticks for you in that?
Just the quiet moments, the brotherhood, just seeing they didn't even realize how young they were at the time, and just to see how they grew as a basketball team. And now the greatest satisfaction is what they're doing in their later life when the ball stops bouncing. To see the success they've enjoyed in every regard is just probably the most gratifying.
What do you mean by that they didn't know how young they were? What do you mean by that one, Coach?
Just, like most kids, they think they know everything. They're brash and they're on top of the world as young kids. And life is a great teacher. And to see them learn as they move through life, that at the time you think you're invincible, and obviously the world is your oyster, and now all of a sudden just to see how they grow up, and Juwan's coaching now, Jalen enjoying great success in the media. If they were to look back at their younger selves, they'd probably say, as much as we thought we knew, we know a lot more now.
Did you get a lot of pressure, you and Coach Fisher, about get those baggy shorts off them? Get this team a little bit more traditional.
I'm the one that ordered the baggy shorts, so okay. I just thought it was a great recruiting tool. So I knew Michael Jordan was wearing a little bigger, and I brought the long shorts to Michigan, and that just shows you how long my career's gone. In 1989, in 1989, they wore those tight little ones.
Yeah.
And now here we are. They're wearing the tight ones again.
What do you mean? By the way, didn't we TJ speak to Juwan about that?
Jalen, and Chris.
Yeah, we said that. Like you put it all out there to make sure that this was now the long shorts look was actually cool and acceptable. And now they're rolling back. And didn't Juwan say they're showing too much thigh meat?
That was me.
Days?
I told him, Coach, I was like, I don't like all the thigh meat that these kids, because I grew up in that era.
You had a problem with that.
Shorts touching your knees. I don't need to see all that thigh out there. And Juwan, Jalen, and Chris all agreed.
To have long shorts back then, they'd hike them down their waist, and now they roll them up because they're not short enough.
So what do you mean you ordered them? So, can you walk me through?
I said, I want 2 more inches on the length of the shorts. And they brought them, and I said, I want 2 more on top of that.
Why?
So I ordered them bigger. Now, Jalen took another player's shorts that was on the team that was a larger size than he was supposed to have because he wanted his super size. So he switched with a center that wasn't playing on the team. So he obviously always had the bigger ones.
But why did you cut? Was it your idea, or was it the group's idea to go long on the shorts?
It was, well, I just knew it was trending in that direction.
Sure.
There were other teams wearing longer shorts before the Fab Five. Obviously, it came more vogue because they wore them. Mm-hmm. But there are other college teams that were wearing shorts longer. And I think Michael Jordan started having longer shorts at that time a little bit.
Sure.
So
okay.
He was the trendsetter of the game back then.
So did you have to tell Coach Fisher you were doing this? Or did he have to give the blessing? You just said, I'm just going to go and order these things. Is that what...
I just think I went and ordered them. I think I probably had said something in passing. And then obviously the short socks, that was them a year later. They all went to the Galleria Mall when we were playing in Houston the sophomore year. And Ray Jackson found some, I think they were golf socks, like footies. And we were getting ready to play, and all the kids had sweatpants on. Coach doesn't pay attention to any of that sort of thing. But I'm like, why are we warming up in sweatpants? We never wear our sweatpants. Where they had hidden the short socks underneath the sweatpants. And then the game started, and all the Fab Five members had basically footy socks on under their tennis shoes. And Coach Fisher said after the game, I don't even know if he noticed, he said, the one thing I will tell you, we're either going to wear short socks or we're all going to wear long socks, but we're all going to wear the same length. And so he wasn't opposed to the short socks. He was opposed to them trying to stand out differently than anybody else.
I see.
So, and I think we brought black socks, I should say, into vogue that second year. Well, I was saying footies, but it was the black socks.
Sure.
Yeah, the ankle.
I mean, this, as you know, was a seminal sports fashion moment. And again, I understand that in the grand scheme of things, what does that mean? It's about obviously relationships, and it's about growing, and it's about winning and all of that. But I mean, this was groundbreaking stuff. Yeah. Were you aware of it at the time, Coach, or no?
Yeah, the black socks. Yeah, that was groundbreaking because you couldn't find them after that. And then kids were wearing their dad's old black socks he'd wear with his suit just to have black socks. So like I said, I've been around long enough. I've seen fashion has trended in every direction. So if you can survive a fashion trend, you've survived in a business. No,
you certainly have, and you've survived and advanced all the way to the Final Four. Congratulations on that. And like I said, that 1989 run that you just started out at Michigan, and it was stunning. It was a stunning turn of events with Bill Frieder and Bo saying, I want a Michigan man coaching a Michigan team, and all of a sudden Steve Fisher and you and the rest of the staff were thrust into a major spotlight, and you cut down the nets. It's what the tournament's all about, and it gave me a lifetime memory, and I can't thank you enough. Seriously.
Yep, I appreciate that. And to this day, Glenn Rice is probably one of the greatest players I've ever been around. The run he had that year,
unreal,
and still holds the 6-game scoring record, I believe, was sensational. So Glenn Rice was as fine a player as you'll ever see in college basketball.
No question about it. And congrats on your run. And let's talk down the line. Greatly appreciate
it. Look forward to it, guys.
Send my best to Coach Fisher, please. Send my best.
I will do that.
Thank you. That's Brian Dutcher of San Diego State University basketball going to the Final Four with this team right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.